Okay, so people contemplating the death of Google Stadia is nothing new. It's been happening ever since the service launched in late 2019, and it's entirely understandable. Google has a track record of mercilessly killing services that fail to reach critical mass, even if they have an active and enthusiastic fanbase. There's a reason killedbygoogle.com is a thing, so if you ever wonder why people are skeptical about the company's long-term dedication to cloud gaming, then just take a look at the many promising apps and services left to rot in the Google graveyard. Stadia in late 2019, launching with an anemic collection of titles and missing a bunch of features, bore all the hallmarks of a Google product that might not have a lot of staying power. The latest round of speculation has followed the first major downsizing of Google's Stadia ambitions with the shuttering of Stadia Games and Entertainment. That was the division tasked with making compelling, exclusive first-party titles for Stadia, led by veteran developer and producer Jade Raymond. The shuttering of these first-party studios is undoubtedly a huge loss. Back around launch time, they were hailed as a major strength for Stadia in future, AAA developers working to produce games specifically for the cloud, with the possibility of unique cloud-powered gaming experiences that wouldn't be possible on a console or even a high-end PC. Here's the thing though, AAA titles are expensive to make and take a long time to come to fruition. We're talking typically 3 or 4 years here, so Stadia Games and Entertainment was seen as a statement of confidence in the platform's future. And so, given that people have been speculating about Stadia's closure for as long as it's existed, it's easy to look at this news and draw the conclusion that Stadia is living on borrowed time. In a blog post, Stadia boss Phil Harrison, formerly of Microsoft and Sony, said Google would be expanding our efforts to help developers and publishers take advantage of our platform technology and deliver games directly to their players. That's a pretty big 180 from focusing on homegrown, big-budget Stadia-only titles, and points towards Google redirecting resources that it was going to spend on SG&E towards courting more of the existing big names in gaming. In the short term, if you think about it, that's not such a bad move. Although Stadia picked up a lot of big-name titles in 2020 like Cyberpunk, Doom Eternal and the Hitman series, along with the likes of FIFA coming soon, the selection right now is still pretty scant compared to a traditional console. So if you're Stadia under pressure from Google to earn your keep, for the next 2 to 3 years you're probably better off spending your resources courting existing big publishers and making sure Stadia doesn't miss out on important major releases in the short to mid-term, basically trading first-party exclusives much later for second-party parity now. The counterpoint to that is, a company like Google and an industry veteran like Phil Harrison should have been able to see this situation coming in 2019, and if they had, they wouldn't now be in the position of laying off large numbers of talented developers, having already burned money for more than a year making games that'll never see the light of day. As a result, some pretty smart people are now calling time on Stadia. Unlike Ron Amadeo though, I don't really think Stadia will be dead by the end of the year. Looking ahead to 2022 or 2023, well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. The major danger for Google is being steamrolled by the competition over the next couple of years. Obviously, Amazon is another tech giant with deep pockets looking to own a slice of the future of gaming, but I think the biggest challenge, and the brand more likely to own the lion's share of game streaming, is Microsoft. Microsoft has equally deep pockets and is already one of the major entrenched platform holders, and Xbox Cloud Gaming, while not available on as many platforms as Stadia right now, stands poised to dominate when proper PC and iOS support eventually arrives. Plus, unlike Stadia, Microsoft has barrels of first-party content to throw at cloud gaming, especially since it gobbled up Bethesda parent company ZeniMax in late 2020. My friend Richard Devine over on Windows Central has a great editorial on how Microsoft can capitalize on the doubts around Stadia's future. Obviously, the optics of the SG&E closure for Google are terrible, and the reality of the situation is even worse for everyone suddenly looking for a new job in the middle of a pandemic. But I think it's premature to talk about Stadia suddenly becoming a Google Plus or a Google Reader. Sean Hollister from The Verge has a good breakdown of one possible future for Stadia, based on analysis of Phil Harrison's blog post, and essentially sees the existing Stadia infrastructure developed and white-labeled for game publishers, so that Stadia as a gamer-facing destination for games becomes less of a thing. Even if Google finds success with a partner-first vision for Stadia, the dream of truly unique games built around the unique power of the Stadia cloud does seem pretty much dead at this point. And with that, it seems less likely that Stadia will be the major consumer-facing presence in cloud gaming that Google might have hoped for just a couple of years ago. Stadia will have the same games as everyone else, and so Google will have to lean on the quality of its service to differentiate itself. There's also the ever-present danger of the death of Stadia becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy, that people skim headlines about SG&E closing, assume Stadia is dead, and don't even bother trying the service, or if they are on board with Stadia, they're reluctant to spend any more on games because, as The Verge says, the writing is on the wall. Plus, the arrival of Xbox Cloud Gaming on more platforms in 2021, perhaps with some tempting exclusives from the Xbox back catalogue, could see a lot of Stadia subscribers jumping ship. Stadia is far from dead. It has a decent lead on the competition in terms of platform availability and quality of service. The games are flowing on Stadia Pro, and that'll no doubt continue as Google redirects its resources towards securing more third-party titles. But it faces just as many challenges, if not more, compared to when it debuted in late 2019, with major features missing and a lackluster launch lineup. Let us know what you think of Google Stadia down in the comments and where the platform will be going in future. If you're a Stadia user, let us know if the closure of SG&E will change your mind about the service. That's it for now. Be sure to subscribe for more coverage of Android, Chrome, Stadia, and everything else Google does. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.